Hi, today I'm going to show you how to brew kombucha using the batch brew method. Right here are all the things that you're going to need to do your very first brew. You're going to need sugar, water, tea, measuring cups, a pot, a brewing vessel, and the last thing that you're going to need is a SCOBY. So your pot, your measuring cups, those are all things that you probably already have in your kitchen. The tea that you're going to use to do a gallon-sized brew, you're going to need about 4 to 6 tea bags. There's no right or wrong way to do it. You can use 4, you can use 6, but what you do need to do is make sure that you're using one that has caffeine in it. So I typically do 3 black and 3 green tea bags to get the health benefits of both types of tea. Today I'm going to try to do 2 black tea bags, 2 white, and 2 green. And I'll see how that tastes. I've never done it before. As for the sugar, what you don't want to use is your regular white sugar that you would find at the grocery store. The best type of sugar to use is what they call dehydrated cane juice, which really is just organic sugar. Your brewing vessel, this is a gallon-sized jar. I got it off of Amazon, and it typically will come with one of these little muslin cloths. The thing that you're going to want this for is when you're done your brew, to cover the top of it. And this is going to keep out any fruit flies or bugs in your house because they love kombucha and they will be attracted to it. So you're going to need one of these things to cover it up. But you can't cover it with a lid because it needs to be able to breathe. So the last thing you're going to need is your SCOBY. So the SCOBY is SCOBY. Some people call it a mother, and it stands for a symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast. This is actually alive. It looks absolutely disgusting, but it's going to give you delicious kombucha. You can get this one of 2 places. There are some places online where you could buy your SCOBY, and it would come with a starter kit with the jars, the cloth, maybe one of these hats, everything that you need. However, it can be a little bit expensive. So I actually got mine from a friend who was already brewing kombucha, because once you start brewing and you have this for several weeks in a row, this is going to multiply. If you had a camera on this and watched it in a time lapse, you would see this thing grow. So after a while, you're going to have to split your SCOBY, and we'll go over that later. But what you do need to know is that you could get this from somebody who's already brewing their own kombucha. So they would just simply peel a layer off, give you a layer, and then they would give you a little bit of this, what's called starter liquid, and that's going to kickstart your fermentation process. The first thing that you're going to do is you're going to take your pot and you're going to take your measuring cup and measure out 3 cups of water. You're going to put it on the stove, turn it on, and then get it to a boil. Okay, once you get to a boil, you're going to take it off of the heat. And then you're going to put in your tea bags. Again, it's 4 to 6 tea bags total. You can do any combination of any tea that you want. It just cannot be an herbal tea. This is I usually do 3 black and 3 green. This is 2 white, 2 green, and 2 black. If you want to get fizziness in your kombucha, you're going to want to have some black tea in there, because the more caffeine in the tea, the more effervescent your brew will be. Once you have your tea in your pot, you're going to let that steep for 12 minutes. You don't want to let it go too much longer than that, because then it makes it really difficult for the sugar to dissolve in the tea. So 12 minutes is perfect, because then it's not too hot to pour into your brewing vessel, because if it's too hot, it could crack the glass. If you let it go for too long, then it's really difficult to dissolve all that sugar in there. So 12 minutes is kind of your sweet spot. So while your tea is steeping on the stove, you're going to take your brewing vessel and fill it with 9 cups of water. I like to start with cold water. All right, now we are ready to add our sugar. So when I did these tea bags, I actually cut the, I don't know the word.
Tea bag string?
I didn't cut the string off. When I did these tea bags, I cut the little paper off. And the reason I do that that is because one time I almost caught my house on fire. This was on the burner steeping, and the tea bag was hanging over the side, hit the burner, and it caught on fire. I didn't know what to do, and my husband saved the day. So that's why I cut the little tags off of the end of the bags now, because I don't want to catch my house on fire. So probably neither do you. Alright, so I took my tea bags out. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add 3/4 of a cup of my organic sugar. Okay, it's a lot of sugar.
Like you're making Toll House chocolate chip cookies.
Okay, so then you're going to want to stir it up. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to take the vessel that you put that 9 cups of water in, and you're going to pour this sweet tea right into that vessel. And if you started with that nice cold water, you don't have to worry about the jar cracking, and this cooled for a little bit, so you should be okay. Now you're almost done. So the next thing I'm going to do, you need to make sure you have nice clean hands, is I'm going to take this SCOBY and I'm going to pick it up. I know it looks absolutely disgusting. It feels really gross too. And you're going to put it into your sweet tea and your water. The very last thing that you're going to do is you need to save that starter liquid that your SCOBY came in. And you need to take 1 cup of it and you're going to pour it on top of the SCOBY. And this is going to kickstart that fermentation process. And you can already see, because this is kind of mature, I've split it multiple times, that it's already starting to bubble on top. And then the very last thing that you're going to do is you're going to take that muslin cover or your little hat and put it on top. Once you have everything together and your brew is ready to go, you're going to let this sit for 7 to 14 days. Each day this sits there, you're going to want to take a straw and kind of just slip it past the SCOBY. It's not cooperating right now, but if you slip it past there, get a little bit of the liquid in the straw and taste it. You want to taste this each day so that you one day will just kind of see how it tastes different. It's going to taste kind of vinegary. The other thing that you're going to want to do when you're first starting out is to test the pH of your kombucha. I got these little test strips off of Amazon. They're pretty cheap. The pH of your kombucha should be between 2.5 and 3.5. So there's a little key on the back. It should be, like that ugly color green on top and yellow on the bottom. And so once you get there, you know that your brew is done and you're ready to do your flavoring. You're going to want to find a place in your house to put it that is out of the direct sunlight. You don't want it in direct sunlight, and you don't want it to be too hot or too cold. So you wouldn't want to put this in your basement or your garage. Room temperature is where you want it to be, out of direct sunlight. So the last thing I do to keep those fruit flies out is I just get a tiny little mason jar, and this is just for my previous brew. You can use any kombucha, the starter liquid that you had, and just pour a tiny bit in there. And then it doesn't need to be a lot. You're going to add a little bit of soap and then mix it up, and that is going to act as a little trap for your fruit flies, and you will catch some in here, and that's where you want them to be. You want them to be in here and not in here. Alright, so I've taken my brew and I've put it in kind of just a little corner of my house on this little wine rack as a place to sit for 7-14 days. It's away from things, but yet it can breathe, and it's out of the direct sunlight. And that's how to brew kombucha using the batch brew method. The batch brew method. Right here is all of the things, or not.